Good day. I hope and I trust that this video finds everybody well. Today we talk about public administration, another in a series of videos that we'll do throughout the class to talk about issues. It gives us a chance to convey the information verbally as well as we often do in the written format. But public administration. Public administration means working for the public. It is teachers, police officers, FBI, the President of the United States, road workers, people who actually produce products and services that the general public uses. And the key is the general public. The reason we have a government is, for the most part, there are certain services that we all benefit from, and therefore we should all pay for. We all drive on a road, so everybody should pay for it. We all are protected by the military, so we should pay for it. We use the same schools, so everybody should pay for it. So these collective goods are supported by collective income or revenues, which we call taxes. And that really is the genesis of our government and the reason why we have public employees, which is to deliver these services that we as a public feel should be provided. Some believe that they should have more services than are provided. Others believe that they should have less. It's all based on the amount of taxes that one wants to pay. In general, through voting, whether it's every 2 years for the House or 6 years for the Senate or 4 years for the President, we determined the level that we are willing to pay in relation to taxes. The more taxes that are collected, the more revenue the government has, the more people they could hire, the more programs that they could develop. And so that's a background on what our government was created to do, and the public sector is those people working for the government, and public administration is the type of management structure that we use to manage people in the public sector. It is different in the public sector than it is in the private sector. And it gives me a chance to talk about this for just a couple of minutes and offer you a couple of key differences. First is efficiency. It's less important in the public sector that you're efficient. That's the way that it's been for decades, if not longer. But there's one primary reason why that happens. If you work in a business, if you own a business, you're only as successful as the revenues that you generate. If a customer does not use your service, you don't get paid. Public sector is different. They get paid regardless of how well they provide that service. There's a certain level of taxes that are collected, and those taxes are given to people who work in the public sector. If they don't accomplish their objective, people still have to pay that tax for the most part. And so you can see that there's a less of an incentive, doesn't mean that it's true, but less of an incentive for people working in the public sector to be efficient and effective with the money they have. Efficient means you use the least amount of resources that are necessary. Effective means that it actually works. A good analogy is a car. When you start a car and it runs, that means that it's effective. If you use the least amount of steel or rubber to build the car, that means it's efficient. So you always want to be efficient and effective, because you could actually create a car that no one could afford to buy. So it may be effective, but it's just not efficient. So again, that's the primary difference between the public and the private sector. And the second is that in the public sector, there's quite a few people that use public services or products that don't pay for them. That's called the free rider concept in the public sector, which means that they have access to services, but they're not necessarily paid for them. There are some people who, because of their financial condition, don't pay taxes. In fact, about 50% of the U.S. population does not pay federal income tax. But yet they're protected by the military. They have access to the FBI. They ride on roads that the majority of people pay for. So we do provide services and goods to people even if they don't pay for them. If you own your own business, you would not cook meals for somebody if they can't pay for them. You do some charities, of course, but you would have that aspect. Those are the two differences between the professions. That's why it can be more complex to work in the public sector. than it is in the private sector. And that's why public administration can be so much more challenging. I hope that provides some basis on what we're going to be talking about in the coming weeks. I always look forward to chatting with you. If you have any questions or comments, certainly let me know. Otherwise, enjoy the day, and I look forward to our next chat.